You ever knock on someone's door and feel like something evil is waiting on the other side? That's exactly how it started. My name's Edwin. Back in 2005, I was living in a quiet town outside Monroe, Louisiana. My dad, Harold, ran a small corner store. But what most people came to him for was money. Loans, really. In a place like ours, folks needed help now and then, and my dad was generous, at first. But miss a payment? He'd raise hell. I've seen him yell worse than any preacher giving a sermon on sin. Still, if you talked to him right, he'd calm down. Deep inside, he had a soft heart. One afternoon, he asked me to ride with him to the next town over. My older brother had just gotten into a bad car accident, and the hospital bills were stacking up. We needed the money fast. Dad figured we could collect a few debts, and maybe, just maybe, we'd make it through the week. Most folks we visited that day were decent. Some apologized, some paid what they could. No drama. But then, there was Agnes Carter. She lived at the end of a dirt road, alone in a crooked old house surrounded by dying trees. Folks said she'd once been a nurse. Others claimed she was something else. I didn't believe in that stuff. Not yet. We knocked. Nothing. Knocked again. Still nothing. I was about to give up when the door creaked open. Agnes stepped out slowly, her gray hair a tangled mess, eyes sunk deep like she hadn't slept in years. The look she gave my dad? Pure hatred.
Sorry to bother you, Miss Carter. I'm just here to collect, same as before. My son's brother, he's in the hospital. We really need the money.
She narrowed her eyes.
You people got no shame. Didn't I tell you last time I ain't got it?
You did, but we agreed on a date. That date was last week.
So now you're here to threaten me? Over what, a couple $100?
It's not about the money. It's about what's right.
That's when she snapped.
She raised her voice so fast I flinched. You think you can come to my house, beg me for money, and then come back demanding it like you own me? You got no idea who you're messing with?
Before I could step back, she lunged forward and grabbed a fistful of my hair. I screamed, not just from pain, but from shock. Her grip was like iron, and her breath smelled like something rotten.
My dad cursed and yanked her hand off me. Don't you touch my boy! He shouted, face red with rage. You've crossed the line, Agnes!
She stared at me then, deep, like she was memorizing my face. Her lips moved, whispering something I couldn't make out. But I swear the air around us got heavier. It felt like the light dimmed, even though it was still mid-afternoon. Then she slammed the door in our faces. Dad yelled a string of curses at the house and threatened to file a report with the sheriff. But I wasn't listening. My scalp was burning, and I had this awful feeling in my gut, like something had started, something I couldn't stop. As we drove away, I glanced in the mirror and caught a glimpse of her standing by the window, staring out, still whispering, still watching. I didn't know it yet, but that was the last normal day of my life. Something changed that night. It started with the pounding headache, not the kind that comes from dehydration or lack of sleep. This one throbbed deep inside my skull like someone hammering from the inside out. I popped 2 Tylenol and went to bed early. By the time I woke up the next day, my body felt like it had been through a meat grinder. My skin burned, my joints ached. Every time sunlight hit me, it felt like acid sizzling on my flesh. Even walking to the bathroom felt like crossing through fire. At first, my dad thought I had the flu, but by day 3, he was pacing around like a madman. My eyes had become so sensitive, I kept all the lights off and my curtains drawn. Worst of all, something started happening to my scalp. I was losing hair. Chunks of it. My head itched like ants were crawling beneath the skin, and small boils began to rise along my hairline. I tried to ignore it, to tough it out, but the sores began to burst, sticking my hair together in crusted clumps. Dad had no choice but to shave my head bald just to clean the wounds. Then came the smell. Even after showers, even after ointments, there was a rotting stink that clung to me like smoke. Hospitals didn't help. We saw 2 doctors. One ran tests, the other gave me steroid creams. Both said the same thing. Nothing abnormal, must be an allergic reaction. But it wasn't. I wasn't just sick, I was being eaten from the inside out. By the end of the week, my younger sister Maya started showing symptoms too. She collapsed one night and couldn't move her legs. She couldn't even feel them. Then the rashes started. Big, bulging boils crept up her neck like something trying to crawl out from under her skin. My dad was losing his mind. First, his eldest son nearly died in a car crash, then me, now Maya. 3 tragedies in 1 month. I remember one night, he sat on the edge of my bed, rubbing my arms gently with a warm cloth. His hands trembled.
His eyes looked older than I remembered. What did we do to deserve this? He whispered, is God punishing us?
I wanted to say something, but my throat was tight. For weeks, I'd felt like something was pressing against it. Like invisible fingers were squeezing, just enough to make breathing difficult, but not enough to pass out. It came and went, especially in the afternoons around 3 p.m. That's when it was worst. Always 3 o'clock. I stopped going outside. My skin couldn't take it. It felt like every sunbeam peeled my flesh like wet paper. Dad spent his days working and his nights trying to figure out what was happening to us. He asked around. Neighbors, relatives, even the priest. Most people avoided him. A few whispered behind his back.
They say someone cursed your family, one old man muttered. They say it's because of the loans, because of how you treat people who can't pay.
He didn't want to believe it. Neither did I. But the whispers grew louder. And one afternoon I saw something. Through the living room window just past our yard stood a woman. Gray-haired, limping, wearing the same tattered shawl I'd seen the day she pulled my hair. Agnes Carter. I stared, unmoving, heart hammering in my chest. She didn't look at me, but I knew it was her. She turned slowly and walked away, vanishing between the trees. She came back the next day, and the day after that, always around 3 p.m. I stopped telling Dad. He didn't need the extra stress, but I knew. Deep down I knew. She was the reason we were dying. And whatever she started wasn't finished yet. The third time I saw her outside our house, I stopped pretending it was coincidence. Agnes Carter was stalking us, always alone, always just far enough that no one but me saw her clearly. Sometimes she'd appear between the trees, sometimes along the roadside, but always at the same time. 3 p.m. She never knocked, never spoke, never even looked up, but her presence was like a rotting smell in the air, unseen but choking. And every time she came near, my body flared with pain. Boils burst open. My vision blurred. I'd fall asleep shaking and wake up screaming. My sister Maya was no better. Her legs had completely lost function. Her skin, once smooth and pale, was now pocked with lesions and sores. She'd lie in bed moaning at night. Sometimes she'd whisper in her sleep.
They're watching. Don't let her touch me. Please, don't open the door.
We'd seen every kind of doctor in our county. Neurologists, dermatologists, specialists from Baton Rouge. One clinic even tested us for rare parasites, but nothing ever showed up. They said it might be psychological, stress-induced, autoimmune. One doctor even hinted it might be in our heads, but it wasn't. My dad knew it too. He was unraveling before our eyes, working day and night, taking care of Maya and me, and arguing with my mom over the phone. She was overseas, working as a nurse in Guam. She hadn't seen what we looked like, but when Dad finally sent a picture of me, half-bald, skeletal, covered in sores, she broke down and said she was coming home, not next month, not next week, immediately. She showed up at our door 2 days later, exhausted and hollow-eyed, dragging 2 massive suitcases and a woman I didn't recognize. Her name was Terry. She wasn't family, she wasn't a nurse. But there was something about her, this quiet, knowing energy. She moved through our house like she could feel something we couldn't. When she walked past Maya's room, she paused and shivered.
That child's sick, she said softly. But it ain't just in the body, it's deeper.
Dad rolled his eyes. We know that. We've been to 6 doctors already.
No, Terry replied, her voice low. I mean spiritually sick.
Mom pulled Dad aside and explained that Terry wasn't just a friend. She was the daughter of a root worker, a kind of folk healer who practiced hoodoo in a small town about an hour away. She'd grown up helping her mother remove curses, read cards, cleanse homes. Terry wasn't a healer herself, but she could still feel when something was wrong. And when she stepped inside our house, she felt it instantly.
This place has been marked, she said. Bad energy clings to the walls. I don't know who y'all made angry, but they meant what they did.
Dad finally broke down. He told her everything. The debt, the fight, the way Agnes had pulled my hair, the sudden illnesses, the things I saw outside. He even mentioned the old rumors, how people used to call Agnes a hoodoo woman behind her back. Said she could make men infertile just by leaving dirt on their porch. Said she could kill a chicken with a whisper.
Terry nodded grimly. Sounds like she laid a working on y'all.
A working? I croaked from the couch, my voice weak and scratchy.
A curse, she explained, but not a simple one. Something layered. She didn't just want revenge. She wanted to watch you suffer.
Dad leaned forward. Can you stop it?
No, she said, but my mama can.
We left the next morning. It took us 3 hours to reach the bayou town where Terry's mother, Miss Ida, lived. Her house sat deep in the woods, surrounded by moss-draped oaks and small jars hanging from the trees, filled with herbs, bones, and what looked like pieces of hair. The woman who answered the door was tiny, no taller than Maya, but the power in her presence hit like a tidal wave. She didn't smile, didn't ask our names, just looked at my sister and me, then stepped back and let us inside. She didn't ask what was wrong. She already knew.
This ain't no ordinary sickness. Y'all been hexed. Real dark, too. Whoever did this wanted your whole bloodline to rot.
She made us sit in front of a large wooden table scattered with candles, jars, and roots. She lit incense and began to chant in a mixture of English and Creole. My skin started to burn again. Maya screamed and curled into a ball. I heard something hiss in my ears like a snake whispering just out of reach.
Hold them. Don't let them move.
Terry and my mom held Maya. My dad gripped my arms tight. Miss Ida waved a burning bundle of herbs over my head, muttering something I couldn't understand. Suddenly I felt pressure on my chest, like something trying to claw its way out. Then she reached under the table and pulled out a bowl of black water.
You'll see her now.
What?
The woman who cursed you.
She dipped her fingers into the water and touched my forehead. The moment her skin met mine, I was gone. Not passed out, not asleep, gone. In my mind's eye, I was standing in front of Agnes Carter's house again. Only this time, everything was dead. Trees were gray, sky black, no sound, no wind. And there she was, Agnes, sitting on her porch, holding something in her lap. A doll. It looked exactly like me. She turned slowly, her mouth curled into a twisted smile, and whispered,
I told you not to come back here.
Then I was back in the chair, gasping. Miss Ida looked satisfied. It's her, Agnes Carter.
I know. Our families go way back. That woman's mother was a conjure witch. Her grandmother, too. They never used their power for good. And your mistake, sir, was thinking you could treat her like any other debtor.
She owes me money.
Miss Ida leaned close, her eyes like coals.
She doesn't care about money. She cares about power. And you embarrassed her.
She stood and began mixing ingredients into a jar. Graveyard dirt, red pepper, a rusty nail, and something from one of the jars hanging outside. This here's a return spell, she explained. Whatever she put on you, we're sending it back, times 10. Will it hurt her? My mom asked. Miss Ida paused. It'll hurt her exactly as much as she meant to hurt your children. The room went silent. Then she added, if she survives what comes next, maybe she'll think twice before cursing another soul. She handed the jar to Terry and told her how to bury it near Agnes's house. Then she turned to us, placing a small bag in each of our hands. Keep these with you at all times, she said. They'll protect you from what's left. Before we left, she whispered something to my dad. He never told me what it was, but from the look on his face, it changed him forever. We buried the return spell the next morning. Terry didn't wait. She drove to the edge of Agnes Carter's property and just before sunrise, dug a shallow hole beneath a twisted dogwood tree. She placed the jar inside, covered it with red brick dust, and whispered a final blessing. Then she walked away. We didn't hear anything that day. No screams, no signs, just silence. But that night, things began to change. The air in our home felt lighter, cleaner, like a window had been cracked open for the first time in weeks. Maya, for the first time in a month, asked for food. She laughed at one of Dad's dumb jokes. She even moved her toes, something we thought she'd never do again. As for me, I slept, really slept. Not the nightmare-ridden, pain-soaked fog I'd known for weeks, but deep, quiet sleep. When I woke, the boils on my scalp had dried. The tightness in my throat was gone. My body didn't ache. The crushing weight that had haunted every breath was finally lifted. Over the next few days, Maya and I improved rapidly. The sores faded, the swelling went down. Our hair even started to grow back. It was as if the sickness had never been there at all, but the curse hadn't disappeared. It had simply been returned. News about Agnes came slowly and quietly. A week after Terry buried the return jar, we heard she'd been hit by a car just outside a neighboring town. She'd lost her leg in the accident and was bedridden. But that was only the beginning. Reports trickled in. She'd developed a strange skin condition. Her flesh peeled in places. Her eyes became bloodshot. She screamed at night, neighbors said, wailing like a banshee. Some claimed they heard her begging for mercy. Others said she clawed at her own skin, muttering names, mine, Maya's, and my father's. She was moved to a distant relative's house in another parish. No one's heard from her since. And to be honest, we're okay with that. My dad never went back to lending money. He closed the shop, sold off the leftover inventory, said it wasn't worth the risk anymore, said some debts come with interest too steep for anyone to pay. Sometimes I still dream about her. I see her sitting on that porch, that doll in her lap, that smile, and I wake up gasping. But mostly I feel peace, mostly. There was just one thing that never sat right with me. One night, about a month after we were healed, Maya and I were watching TV. It was late. Mom and Dad had already gone to bed. Out of nowhere, Maya turned to me and said, "I saw her." "Saw who?" "In my dream," she whispered. "Agnes, she was in my room." I paused. "That was just a dream, Maya." "No," she insisted. "She told me something, said the debt wasn't mine, that it was his." She looked toward our parents' bedroom, but she made me pay anyway. I didn't say a word after that, because deep down I knew some curses don't care who owes what. They just want to hurt someone, and if you're not careful, you might be next. If you found this story chilling, make sure to subscribe to our channel. We post real-life horror adaptations and true dark tales every week. Don't let the next curse catch you unprepared.